Hi, guys. Welcome to the Simple Doesn't Mean Easy podcast. We are here working at simplifying things in our lives, one day at a time, one simple step at a time. And you know what? This way of simplifying, with some air quotes, this way of working at eliminating some junk in our lives, it doesn't make things easier, but it definitely makes them better. I'm your host, Michelle Visser, and today we're going to break down what some experts think about one particular ingredient. Stick with me to the end because I'm actually sharing a recipe that you do not want to miss. 4 ingredients to absolute sheer deliciousness. And surprise bonus, at the end of today's episode, I am going to give you an amazing twist to this already delicious recipe that you seriously need in your life. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to spill the beans. I'm going to tell you how to make, are you ready for this? Bacon maple ice cream. Guys, don't knock it until you make it and try it. It's amazing. By the way, I'm wearing my maple sweatshirt in honor of today's episode because we are going to talk about maple ice cream. It is almost fall in New England as I'm recording this. It is a chilly morning that feels like fall. So it's kind of on the cusp of summer going into fall, which is the perfect time for maple ice cream. Am I right? I know I'm right. Before we dive into this episode, I have a quick question for you. What do you think might be the most underrated crop in the average garden? I think it's garlic. This was the first year I planted garlic and I'm in love. Go to territorialseed.com/simple to see what I'm talking about and grab a discount code. I love the fact that you can plant garlic in the fall when it's a slower time, not in the craziness of spring. And I love that there's 2 options to choose from: hardneck, which gives you a spicier flavor, and 2 harvest, because you can harvest the scapes before the garlic. But the soft neck garlic gives you a longer shelf life. So you know what? I recommend you try some of both. Territorialseed.com/simple. It's also a fantastic companion plant. I planted mine by my broccoli and Brussels sprouts, and it has helped repel the cabbage moths all summer long. Don't wait though, because the garlic will sell out quickly. It does every year. If you wait, it might be gone next week. So go to territorialseed.com/simple and take advantage of the discount as well. Okay, so that ingredient that we're talking about today, it is propylene glycol. And it's not something I've really thought about before. But if you start looking up ice cream and propylene glycol, or simply ice cream and antifreeze, you will find a whole deep plethora of information about this ingredient and is it harmful for you. I will also tell you that pretty much everywhere that you read is going to tell you it is not harmful for you. And well, you know what? We're just going to dissect some of that. I'm going to share some of the information I found, and we're going to kind of dissect it and see if these are good sources, what we think about it, and what we think about ice cream. In the end, ice cream is a very good thing. It really is. But even if it's homemade ice cream, certainly you could have too much of it. It's not something that you can eat 24/7. We all know this. Um, but I firmly believe if it's real food, even the stuff that is quote unquote not really good, you really shouldn't eat much of it. If it's real food, it is so good to have it in your life. It really is. We need it. We need the sugary good stuff if it's real, right? Now, I will say if you're purchasing ice cream, there's a lot of things you might want to be leery of, mainly the sugars. I mean, I shouldn't say mainly because it's just one of many ingredients you really should look into. But as a sugar maker, that's why I'm saying mainly you should think about your sugars. But we actually did a whole episode. It was really great one if you missed it, way back in season 7, episode 3. David Stelzer of Azure Standard came on, and we spoke for quite a while in depth about sugars, what complex all natural sugars are, what options there are, and why you should try to avoid anything that is not a complex all natural sugar. Really good stuff. Episode 3 in season 7. But it's not just the sugars. I mean, other things too. It causes inflammation if you're eating the store-bought ice cream, which there's so many health problems with added inflammation in our bodies. And for many people, it causes skin issues. It can, of course, whether you're eating store-bought or homemade, it can lead to damaging your teeth enamel or lead to cavities. In fact, while I'm talking about previous episodes, if you haven't heard the holistic dentist episode, wow, guys, mind blowing, eye opening. Season 5, episode 9, Dr. Michelle Jorgensen. She's a friend. She's amazing. She is so knowledgeable, and it's just an episode. If you care at all about your dental health, even if you didn't know you cared about it, but you want to know more about it, you need to listen to episode 9 in season 5. But anyway, back to ice cream. There are also many other additives, not just the propylene glycol. So that's just the one we're focusing on today. Okay. Um, Now, propylene glycol is not just in food. It is a food additive. You will find it in many foods, but you'll also find it in things like perfume. And it's used in cosmetics. Lots of different makeups will have it. It's used in deodorants, in soaps and hand cleansers, disinfecting gels, shaving cream, shaving gels. And of course, it is in many foods and drinks. It's an emulsifier. So a lot of food companies love it because it will keep things together well. Um, Also, as far as hair products, it's in shampoos and hair styling products. And when I read that it was especially common in any hair products that are labeled for curly hair, I went, oh, my red flags went up. And I thought, I know that the shampoo I've been using and the hair products I've been using are considered non toxic, but wait a minute. Is it possible that this ingredient, because I'm going to be sharing with you today, lots of experts say it's totally not harmful. Is it possible that maybe this ingredient is just, a teeny, teeny bit harmful and therefore it's not considered toxic and therefore maybe it's in my shampoo? I want to know. So I looked it up. There is a long list of ingredients. They list them all on their site and it is not in my hair products. I was happy to find out. By the way, if you want to know more about that, solelyrested.com/non-toxic. I share more about the hair products, and I'm going to be adding to that all fall, maybe into the winter even. We're going to be talking about what products you need to be a little careful about that might be toxic in your home and simple replacements. So that's all going to be housed at solelyrested.com/non-toxic. So anyway, the reason that this ingredient is common in curly hair products is because it's something called a humectant. I don't know how to say that. Humectant. And it means that it's moisturizing your hair and reducing the drying. It doesn't allow the moisture to escape your hair as easily. So that's why it's really common, specifically in curly hair products, because anybody that has curly hair or knows somebody has curly hair, you know about frizz and how humidity affects our hair. So that's why it's in the products. And by the way, before we go any further, I want to explain that I get it why manufacturers use things like what we're talking about today. Because, like, as consumers, we want this. We want a shampoo that makes our hair the way we want our hair to be. I mean, that's just what we want. And it's really, really hard if you start going down the trail of, okay, I'm going to eliminate this. How do I replace it? It could take years. It probably took me that long with hair shampoo until I finally decided I had to do this and I found a really good one. It takes a long time and it's not easy. So I get it. The manufacturers want to give us what we want, right? We are demanding as consumers. Um, but anyway, okay, so let me tell you how this whole thing started, honestly. I am getting together with friends every other week throughout the summer, and we have been talking about, I guess we've called it pantry staples, is what we've been calling it, which it really isn't just pantry staples, but talking about how we can improve just one thing in our kitchen, one thing at a time, every other week, and making these things together. It's been super fun. And I suggested that the next time we get together before summer is over, we should talk about ice cream. And I would bring my ice cream machine, and another friend will bring hers, and we'll make some ice cream together, and we'll talk about how to make really good ice cream. And one friend texted me. She was so excited because she doesn't want antifreeze in her ice cream. And I thought, well, in a text, I'm not going to go down that road, but that's something we'll talk about when we all get together and make our ice cream. But so I just said 100% and left it at that because I knew her heart was right and I knew where she was coming from. But the truth is, there is not antifreeze in ice cream. But that's a good place to start, like I said, with your Googling to get you, I don't know, more information about what people say about this topic, about propylene glycol and ice cream and food and everything else. So officially, my friend was wrong. Like I said, there isn't antifreeze in any ice cream that you buy at the store. But what is in it is this propylene glycol. And propylene glycol is used to make antifreeze. So it's an ingredient in antifreeze. So when I started, I knew I wanted, after this texting with a friend, I thought, okay, I want to do an episode about ice cream and is it safe and how to make your own. And then I realized, you know what? I think I'm just going to talk about this one ingredient because we could have a dozen episodes just about ice cream, you know? But we're not going to do that. So when I Googled, I pulled together the things that I thought would be the most interesting to share with you to kind of give you insight into what people are saying and how we can dissect it and how we can know, well, if this person says it's safe, it's got to be safe, right? Like, and how we walk through that. So the first thing that came up when I started my little path down the Google rabbit hole was a site called politifact.com. I have no idea why they were writing an article on ice cream because they're typically a political bent and they analyze folks who are running for office and they do fact checks on them. So it's a kind of an interesting site. So I don't know why they did ice cream. They didn't explain in this article. But right away, that had me thinking, well, whatever they say, I'm really curious if like they have an expert on this. Like, why is a political website talking about food? I don't know. It just struck me a little weird. So let me share with you some things I found on their site. First of all, they defined what it is. Propylene glycol is a synthetic liquid. Okay. It's a chemical. Sounds nicer to say synthetic liquid. It's typically colorless, odorless, and tasteless with a slightly syrupy consistency at room temperature. It has a variety of uses in the chemical, food, pharmaceutical, and manufacturing industries. Well, that right there, like they're saying this as, oh, it's a positive thing. It's used in all these different ways. But right away, my red flags go up thinking, if this is an ingredient that's used in all of these different industries, could it be it's not really appropriate for food? um, and it is generally, they go on to say, considered non toxic. Well, again, that word generally set up a flag for me because just last episode, we dove into what it means to be generally recognized as safe if it is an ingredient that has the FDA's approval. So the word generally isn't enough for me. They go on to say, in foods, propylene glycol can be used in small amounts as an additive to help maintain moisture or as a thickener, an anti-caking agent, or a preservative. Propylene glycol has been used in foods in the US since 1920, the FDA said. Okay, there's two things I didn't like about that last sentence. They're assuming, first of all, if it's been around since 1920, then obviously it's okay. I'm sorry, that doesn't really mean anything to me one way or the other. We could argue that either way, right? And then they end it with the FDA said. So that told me, oh, so they're relying on the FDA as their source of information here, which is understandable. It's the Food and Drug Administration. I get it why they went there as their source of reference. They go on to say the FDA has classified propylene glycol as a food additive that is, and here's the phrase, generally recognized as safe. So to politifact.com, that was all they needed to hear. And honestly, if I didn't know what I recently learned that we talked about last episode, that might have maybe given me a little bit of consolation too. I might have thought, "Whoa, it's just generally recognized as safe. So it must be a simple thing that doesn't even need detailed research." Is kind of what that sounds like, right? Listen to last episode, by the way, if you haven't yet. So they go on to say, they even define it. It's a food additive that is generally recognized as safe, which means no adverse health effects are likely to occur from normal use of products that contain propylene glycol. So many things in there we could dissect. Um, First of all, likely. They're not likely to occur. Well, let's define what that means. And normal use of the products. Well, let's define what that means. We'll go on to talk more today about how it is everywhere, this propylene glycol. So, okay, everybody is just putting a little bit of it, but if I'm using it in 80 different ways in my day, am I still just getting normal use, or maybe I'm exceeding normal use at that point, right? All right, the site goes on to say the FDA also limits the amount of propylene glycol that can be in food and drink products. Typically, the additive accounts for less than 2% of a product's ingredients. So again, they're giving me some reassurance there, at least they think. All right, I went on in my research and I came to this one I just had to share with you because I found this interesting. Beautycon.com. Apparently, guys, there's something called a BeautyCon that is an annual event that you can go to and find all of the best, most amazing beauty products that are perfect for you, just so you know. I will not be attending. um, but they have a whole site for this BeautyCon. And the page of the site that came up in my Google search was a lady that they nowhere did they tell me who she was. She was probably just an actress or somebody that came to BeautyCon that they pulled aside. But she was wearing a lab coat. So the first impression anyone would have, of course, when they come to the site is, oh, she's a medical professional, so I can trust her authority, right? But then they had her surrounded with beauty products. Like, so there's this lady in this white long lab coat, and she's leaning against a desk, and all over the desk on both sides of her are just piles and lines of all different beauty things: shampoos, conditioners, makeup, lotions, everything that you need to be absolutely beautiful, right? So, I mean, just the picture alone set up a few flags for me that I wanted to read this page and know more about it. um, so let me pull up what they have. Here's what they say. Propylene glycol is an ingredient found in many personal care products like shampoo, hair conditioner, styling products, etc. Propylene glycol is widely used because of its low cost and its versatile nature. So anybody that's just skimming this page would go, "Oh, okay, it makes the stuff cheaper to buy. That's good, and it's really versatile so they can use it in all these things. That's good." But right there they're telling us, "Oh, the companies that are making bank on all these products we're selling you at BeautyCon are making more bank because they're using some chemicals that are really cheap," right? I got a quick question for you. Are you feeling stressed? Fall is such a busy time of year. It tends to really stress me out. But sitting down with a delicious cup of tea, that's my me time that I need. It's my relax time. And on top of that, tea contains antioxidants, flavonoids, amino acids. It's actually really good for us, especially if you're choosing the good stuff, organic, loose leaf teas. But let me take the guesswork out of it for you and just go to solelyrested.com/fall, FALL, and go try one or heck, two or all of my favorite drinks. This time of year, I share all the recipes with you. They are so easy to make and they're good for you. And don't miss the discount codes while you're there. Solelyrested.com/fall, FALL. As they go on to explain on the beautycon.com site, propylene glycol is a synthetic product. Again, sounds a lot better than chemical. Obtained from the hydration of propylene oxide derived from petroleum products. And then she just goes on. I'm sorry, do people like that? Do people like petroleum products in their hair, on their skin, the largest organ of their body? I don't know. I mean, my husband's a mechanic. And when he comes home with oil all over his hands, it makes me cringe and I worry about him. And I tell him, you should be wearing gloves like all the time and you should be washing your hands more. Like you don't want petroleum products slathered on your skin. It's not good. Anyway, she goes on to say, by the way, this is an undisclosed medical looking person in her lab coat. We don't know what her title is, but she goes on to explain I do not consider a petroleum sourced product a bad thing, as I consider the final structure and its properties to be more relevant than the source. Oh, so if the ice cream tastes really good, if the hair conditioner makes my frizz go away and my curls look beautiful, if, go on and on and on, whatever it is, if this product is something that I love, that's what I care about. Who cares what the ingredients are? Is that what she's saying? I'm pretty sure that's what she's saying. Then she goes on, even with prolonged direct exposure, there is little to no skin irritation or sensitization. It subsides quickly once the area is flushed. Oh. So if you get a skin irritation, if things like sting or dry out your skin or just really feel really bad, don't worry about it. Just get a bunch of water and slather it all over that site. Wash the site really well. You'll be fine. Hmm. Well, that I thought I've just got to look this up. Like, does this cause a skin irritation? Turns out there was a study done in 2020, and it referenced a study back in 1998. So we've known this for a while. It says prolonged, extensive topical application on skin that has been compromised in any way, such as having had a burn. That's where they leave it. But I'm thinking even, dry skin or skin with a scratch, any kind of compromised skin, they say, has also caused excess propylene glycol levels. So maybe if your skin is not at all compromised, maybe it's absolutely no problem. But if it's causing you irritation in the sense that you need to quickly get it off your skin with a whole lot of water, then probably it's able to get into your body. Maybe in ways you don't want it to. Maybe. This is just little old me without my lab coat making an assumption, but take it for what it's worth. Crazy thing is, the study also found that the results that they were experiencing lasted much longer in children. And guess what, guys? Propylene glycol is used in diaper cream. That also might be a compromised area of skin on top of everything else, do you think? My rabbit hole led way beyond ice cream, guys. Okay, back to our friend in the lab coat. She says a few rare incidents have occurred where a person ingested a large quantity of propylene glycol, and suffered some liver and neurological effects as a result. While few chemicals are entirely without risk, by the way, she said the word chemicals, propylene glycol is considered to be safe at low concentrations and is used in personal care products and even food products. So there you have it. BeautyCon experts are telling us, of course, it's safe in your shampoo and perfume because, guys, it's even used in your food. Well, gee, that makes me feel a whole lot better. Moving on. I have a few more websites that I want to tell you their insights. Two more here. One was Ag Daily. I didn't research what this site really was. My assumption, I don't know, guys, but my assumption was it's from Big Ag because of what I'm going to share with you. But what I Googled, by the way, after my first Google, I saw a lot of people talking about Pop Tarts, not ice cream, but Pop Tarts. So I decided to Google, is antifreeze in Pop Tarts? And this is what I came up with from Ag Daily. The fact that it's used in antifreeze also tells you absolutely nothing about the safety or the toxicity, is that how you say it, of propylene glycol in food. After all, water is used in antifreeze as well. Propylene glycol is used to maintain moisture in prepared foods. The US Food and Drug Administration sets limits on the uses and the amounts of propylene glycol in order to ensure safety. Current consumption is far below levels that would raise any concern because guys, FDA has nothing else that they care about more than your safety. That is their number one thing, right? It's not the big food and the big pharma companies that are lining everybody's pockets. That has nothing to do with it. And this ridiculous stuff about water is an antifreeze too. Guys, we're not talking about water. We're talking about the petroleum based product that is in antifreeze that happens to be in almost everything else we come in contact with. And you're telling me it's okay because the FDA is regulating it for my safety and it's only in small quantities. But you're also telling me don't worry about it because, guys, it's in your shampoo and it's in your lotion and it's in your perfume, it's in your deodorant, and it's in a lot of the food you eat. So this shows you that it's safe for you, right? No, it doesn't. It's telling me that I'm getting a lot more than 2% a day, right? Because if there's 2% of it in every product I'm using, then I may be getting too much of this petroleum based product. Just saying. Okay, one more site, verywellhealth.com. I honestly thought maybe I was finding something that was going to give me more information about what this stuff really is and what it could possibly do, how it could possibly be harmful, right? Because it's called verywellhealth.com. This is what they say. The use of propylene glycol in foods is common and generally, oh my goodness, as soon as I saw the word generally, I sighed. I thought, oh, I think I know what they're going to say. And generally considered to be safe. When consumed, propylene glycol breaks down in the body quite quickly, within 48 hours, and it's changed to an energy source. Unlike similar substances like ethylene glycol, propylene glycol does not form harmful crystals as it's being broken down in the body. Amounts not broken down and metabolized are passed out of the body in urine. There you go. Verywellhealth.com tells me it's fine. I'm going to pee it out within 2 days. It's fine. Okay, so that's 2 days that it's going through my system and, maybe even impacting my gut health, and who knows, it can get through the lining of my intestines pretty easily to other parts of my body. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just not enough. Verywellhealth.com didn't do it for me. So I looked up, is this true? Does it pass through our body, really quickly? I found a study also done in 2020. Lots of studies done in 2020 for this. Um This was looking at how propylene glycol is used in intravenous and oral drugs. So it is a different situation. It's not talking about processed food, but they concluded that heavy use of injectable medications that have propylene glycol in them have caused excess levels of propylene glycol in the body. So I didn't read the whole study and I will link it in the show notes so you can if you would like. But it was enough to tell me that, there are studies that show it does stay in our body for longer than verywellhealth.com was trying to convince me of. So I don't know. I will say that I did look up some things on environmental working group dot, well, it's called EWG.org. It stands for Environmental Working Group. And that's a good resource to go to if you want to know if a product is toxic. And they give you a lot of good details and they're pretty great about what they are good about. They give you a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most toxic option and 1 being totally clean. And I like that they're honest with you. And not all products are going to fall on one. It's just not going to happen. But it's nice to see the range and to see what you can be comfortable with. And I will say that when I looked up, now I'm wondering, what did I look up? I think I looked up propylene glycol. Let me see. Sorry, Aiden. Yes. When I looked up propylene glycol on ewg.org, it gets a 3 out of 10. So 1 and 2, they always show as green. That's considered totally clean. And then, I think it's 9 and 10 that are the alarming color, and everything in between is like an orange color, I think is how they do it. And this showed up a 3. So it wasn't green, it wasn't in the 1 and 2, but it's a 3. So I do wanna say, I don't think that this propylene glycol is necessarily a horrible thing that's giving us cancer tomorrow, but I think there's enough there to make us hesitate a little and to think about, is this an ingredient I wanna try and eliminate if I can? And honestly, my whole point today, I'm realizing it now as I'm walking through this with you guys. I think my main point is we need to do a little research. We need to know what to ask. We don't even know what to ask sometimes, right? And we can't just trust something because the word health is in their title or because they're wearing a lab coat in a picture. Like, we really do need to do due diligence. I mean, we do it in other areas of our life. Why not in this area that's really important? I mean, we're talking about our health and our family's health, right? So, you guys know I'm always also telling you, you can't let yourself go crazy over this. Like, if this is the one ingredient you decide to research and really find out about and try to eliminate, great, that's good. But you can't let yourself go down a deep, deep hole that will lead to severe depression and anxiety. Like, you can't eliminate all the problems. You can't. We live in a fallen world full of a lot of junk, and there's going to be junk in our days. There is. But I think if we have the right attitude towards it and we educate ourselves little by little, and we don't go overboard and go insane and think we can do it all at once, I think there's really good benefit to researching things, looking at our sources, and questioning. We got to question. I mean, we can't just see a lab coat and say, okay, I'll trust that. But if nothing else, 2020 did teach us that, I think. So, anyway, I just wanted to make sure I told you that it does fall a 3 out of 10. So, as much as I'm criticizing all of this stuff, I am well aware that it is not a carcinogen on the scale of 10 out of 10. It's not. Okay. Where was I? Let me look at my notes. Verywell.com. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna, before I share my recipe with you, I'm going to end with a quote that was in USA Today just a few years ago from a Kellogg's company spokesperson. Chris Bonner said, providing safe, delicious, quality food for consumers is our top priority. And this is a common ingredient. It's approved for safe use by the FDA that many companies use in numerous products to help protect food's flavor and freshness. So there you have it, guys. She threw all the right keywords in there, didn't she? She threw in the word safe. She threw in the word protect, fresh. Um, and of course, it's all done for the consumers. The bottom line is not the material benefit of the CEO of Kellogg. It's not, guys. Trust her. You can trust Chris that the bottom line, the top priority, is the safety of your family, right? I think. Maybe not. Hmm. All right. So, if you would like to try making your own ice cream, first of all, I would recommend a good machine. I am told you can make ice cream without an ice cream maker. I have not done that. I would love to hear from you if you have. I would love that. Reach out to me and let me know what technique you use, how it works, if you like it, because I would love to be able to share that with people who don't have an ice cream machine. I don't want that to be a barrier for someone to be able to make ice cream. But I will say that we use ours a lot and we've had it a very long time. It was a very good investment. It was worth every penny. I will link my favorite ice cream maker in the show notes for you. I will also link my 2 recipes that are my go-to that I love. I'm going to share the maple one with you because it's slightly less ingredients, even easier to describe orally, while you're listening. And I will link my other recipe that I love. I think even more, honestly, mint chocolate chip. Both those recipes will be in the show notes. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, and the ice cream maker. I guess that's all I was going to say. Um, okay, wait. Before I share this recipe, one more thing I want to tell you. It is not going to be like store-bought ice cream. It's just not. Especially if you want to make ice cream that's like as crazy delicious as something like Haagen-Dazs or Ben and Jerry's. It's not going to happen because they have so many chemicals in there that do so many things to improve the texture, the taste, the consistency, the fact that they get you addicted. All of those things are done by these additives that they're putting in there. So it's not going to be the same. But if you are on a journey towards a healthier lifestyle and you really want ice cream, this is an amazing thing to add to your arsenal. If you're looking to just be able to make something just like you could buy, you might as well keep on looking. And I don't think you're ever going to find it. But if you're looking for something that's delicious, that you can feel really good about, and you can have no guilt as you're eating it, then homemade ice cream might be for you. I will say when it comes out of the machine, it is like a soft serve consistency. And if you let it sit for maybe more than like 15, 20 minutes, it's going to start getting liquidy almost because it is very soft right out of the machine. Ideally, the best thing to do is to put it into the freezer for 20, maybe 30 minutes. And then it hardens it up just enough that it's pretty much the consistency of the really great ice cream you buy at the store. Here's the negative. If you don't eat it all right then and you put it back in the freezer again, when you go to get it out the next day or the next week, it's going to be really, really hard. And that's because you don't have all those chemicals doing all those wonderful things to make it a wonderful texture at all times forever for like 18 years, right? um, so that is definitely a compromise that you're going to have to make if you want to only eat homemade ice cream. But there are options there, right? Your one option is you only make it when you can eat the whole, when you have a lot of friends over or big family gathering and you can eat it all, or you realize it's just going to be harder tomorrow and that's okay. Or you set it out of the freezer tomorrow or next week for maybe 20 or 30 minutes before you eat it. And then it's going to be a nicer consistency. So there are definitely options. Okay. What do you need to make amazing maple ice cream? You need 4 ingredients. In fact, you really only need 3. If you can eliminate the cream and just do it with milk, but I don't recommend that. So let's say 4. You need whole milk. Raw milk is the best, by the way, but you don't have, it can be store-bought milk. You need maple syrup, heavy cream, and vanilla extract. That's it. In fact, I guess you could eliminate either the vanilla. Yeah, you could probably eliminate the vanilla extract and it'd still be pretty good, but I recommend all 4 ingredients. Okay. You simply mix those 4 things together in the right amounts. I should have told you 1.5 cups of milk, 3/4 cups maple syrup, 3 cups heavy cream, and 1.5 tablespoons of vanilla. You whisk those 4 ingredients together till they're incorporated really well. And then you turn on your machine. You do have to get your ice cream bowl out of your freezer. It has to be frozen directly from the freezer. Don't let that ice cream bowl sit there for 5 or 10 minutes while you're mixing your ingredients. Mix your ingredients, get them all ready, then go get the bowl. Put the frozen right from the freezer bowl in your machine, turn it on, and slowly pour your amazing 4 mixed ingredients into the machine as it's churning. Then you walk away. Most machines are about 30 minutes. Mars sometimes is only 25. When you come back, you have amazing maple ice cream. It's delicious just like that. I like to serve it with maple sugar sprinkles on top. You can search at soliresta.com for maple sugar and find all you need to know about how to make maple sugar sprinkles. I will also leave the link in the show notes. But I promised you in the very beginning an extra bonus. And here it is, guys. I'm glad you stuck with me and waited for this amazingness. If, when it is 5 minutes from being done, you get yourself some amazing, crumbled up, cooked just correctly bacon, you're going to make something amazing. You just need half a cup of the bacon crumbles. And that last 5 minutes of the churning, you add in your half a cup of bacon to your ice cream. Bacon maple ice cream, guys. And then if you serve that over some creme brulee French toast, you will have the best breakfast of your life. Trust me. So that's it, guys. Thanks for listening. Remember, it's easy to forget how blessed we are to live this life. So enjoy the bacon maple ice cream and enjoy the simple everyday efforts. It's not easy, but it's a good life.